All right. Well, Domain Select, a great importer of small boutique type producers from France, from Italy, I'm sorry, and some from France also. But this guy, a small guy from the Piedmont, who I had, not familiar with before this tasting, Massolino, and they make a Langhe Chardonnay, which is from Serralunga di Alba. This is the only white they produce. Very powerful and complex, a blend of stainless and barrique. Nicely balanced with the ability to age, 2010. Good for truffles and for wine, which doesn't happen. One of the valuable things we found out from this producer very often. Usually when it's good for truffles, it's bad for wine because that additional moisture not good for the grapes at harvest. And good to know. Nice lemon citrus fruit with whetstone-like minerality on the nose. Just a hint of toasted brioche-like nuance. And a touch of white flour in there too. Lovely freshness and focused citrus fruit on the tongue. Really nice little zesty finish with some good minerality there. Very good. Little Chardonnay there from the Langhe. Some of the best Chardonnay from Italy, in my opinion, coming out of the Piedmonts. For instance, Angelo Gaia. All right, next up, a Barbera di Alba, one of the 3 traditional red grapes you find in the Piedmont. This wine has got lovely black cherry, blackberry fruit with hints of black spice tar, fresh flowers, really nice complexity here on the nose, rich in color, good body, nice acidity, low in tannins. One of the things you find out about Barbera, doesn't give it the ability to age, but usually when you add a little barrique to it, that'll add some tannin. And this wine, although does see no oak, so just a pure expression of Barbera, the Barbera varietal. Fresh and fruity on the tongue with lovely freshness, simple, straightforward, real crowd pleaser style, nice little Barbera. Next up, the Nebbiolo Langhe, which this is a selection of young vines, or fruit that doesn't make the grade for the Barolo, but it's all from the Barolo DOCG area. And some of the Langhe Nebbiolo you could find just Nebbiolo on the outskirts of Langhe. And a lot of great producers have started to declassify their younger stuff and the stuff that's not going to make it into their Barolo and make an entry-level wine, which gives you a taste of what these Piedmont Nebbiolo-based wines are at a fraction of the cost. This one, just a little bit too expensive in my opinion for Langhe Nebbiolo, even though it's a really good one. These wines should be about $25. You can now buy Barolos for $35. So nice little wine, but enough said about that. Okay, next up, we did have a little Barolo next. These wines are all estate bottled from Serralunga de Alba, offering a traditional Barolo here with large tonneau and about 3,000 cases of this wine produced. This is the biggest volume of the wines that come out of this cellar. Somewhat reserved nose, 04, a great vintage in the Piedmont. So these wines definitely need a little bit of time, but fairly complex, some truffles, some dark spices, and dried floral notes. Very powerful, firm tannin showing still on the palate with this wine. Excellent structure and depth of flavors with the long, savory finish. Really nice bottle of Barolo. All right, next up we had a Barolo Perafita, which is a single vineyard here with south exposure. Very chalky, old soil type. Powerful wine, but also shows you elegance here. And only 5,000 bottles a year, so under 500 cases there. Very close to Lazaretto and Gambuti, 2 very famous crus in Barolo. And this wine had a pretty floral bouquet of red cherry fruits, forward inviting with some nice rose petal and gravelly minerally notes. Smooth and polished on the tongue with a nice hand of fresh red berry fruit and incense spice. With a fresh and clean finish, still has some legs, man, showing really nicely here. Excellent little Barolo. A little more forward style, this 2005 vintage, $90 a bottle. Maybe a little bit steep. All right, next up, a Moscato d'Asti. This is a wine it's hard not to like. I call it the soda pop of wines, made slightly frizzante, slightly sweet. This is a very unique Moscato because it's from Serralunga di Alba, and it was planted by his grandfather, and 10,000 bottles is all they make of this wine. Very pretty bouquet of fresh peaches, apples, nose of honeysuckle and orange blossom. Really low yields, just like Nebbiolo. They worked very hard to make top-level Moscato here, and this may have been the buy of the group here at $22, even though we have a few Moscatos that are cheaper. This is a really good Moscato d'Asti. All right, and that's what we had to drink with our Piedmont producer. Next up, we got a little German wine.